Long ago in a distant land, I, Aku, the shape-shifting master of darkness, unleashed an unspeakable evil. But a foolish samurai warrior wielding a magic sword stepped forth to oppose me. Before the final blow was struck, I tore open a portal in time and flung him into the future, where my evil is law. Now the fool seeks to return to the past and undo the future that is Aku.
Gotta get back to the past, samurai Jack. Gotta get back to the past, samurai Jack.
Jack.
Gotta get back to the past, samurai Jack. Gotta get back to the past, samurai Jack.
Jack.
Gotta get back.
Jack.
Gotta get back.
Jack.
Samurai Jack.
Hey everyone, Miza here, and as you can tell from the title, the thumbnail, or, that short little intro I did back there, we're talking about Samurai Jack, and we're going to be talking about its endings, or my man-made endings. So, if you don't know what Samurai Jack is, don't know why you're watching this video, but, but essentially Samurai Jack is about a samurai who they call Jack, right? And he's basically teleported into the future by this evil villain known as Aku. So essentially, Aku is like the leader of like this entire future, like this world that he's in, right? And Jack is essentially try his hardest to go back to the past to where he can kill Aku again, which, as this says in the intro, or that catchy tune, gotta get back to the past, Samurai Jack, And I would say, I'm talking about this because, I watched it earlier, or I watched the entire series yesterday, and I liked it, it's very nice. But, when Season 5 came out, in 2017, by the way, this was 13 years after, the last episode, back in 2004, because the series was cancelled. 2004. They got renewed for a season 5, which was the final season back in 2017. So it's been 13 years. And in season 5, right, 50 years from the last episode had passed, right? And it shows that Jack hasn't aged at all. And the entire point of season 5 was kind of to show or be more focused on Jack and how his entire mental has changed. He's having hallucinations. He's seeing himself. He's basically having an entire spiritual awakening at the current moment, right? And that was nice. And also we also get another character, a new character, Ashi, who is essentially she's essentially Aku's daughter, right? But they don't know that. So Aku, or Ashi, they were basically a part of this cult, and they were trained to be assassins to kill the samurai, because even though Jack, it's been 50 years, Jack is still a threat to Aku, because they think that, he still has his sword, his magical sword, which is the only thing that can kill Aku. However, Jack lost his sword, which is the entire point of season 5. It's to show how not only has he not been back to the past, he's been gone for 50 years, right? He also lost the only thing to kill Aku, and all the portals to go back in time have also, they're all destroyed, right? But, after this, y'all bang at the boom, Ashi, Jack come together, they have a little square off, but Jack decides to take her on as captured to show her, Aku is the real evil one, and he's actually just a person trying to defeat Aku, right? And after that, they become love interests and stuff, all that stuff. Jack gets back his sword, he's back in his regular mental, and that's when episode 9 happens. Ashi gets trapped by Aku, and she basically becomes one of Aku's minions. And Jack, not being able to fight Ashi because, you know, she's still in there, he drops his sword, and Jack gets captured. So now the entire world knows, because Aku broadcasts it, the entire world knows that, oh hey, I captured Jack. And all his friends, by the way, because this is still 50 years, like all his friends, who he saved, like, in season 4, like also past season 4, they all come back, like everyone, they all come back, and they fight Aku to save Jack. So while that's happening, Jack is like, oh hey, fight Ashi, fight your inner demons, Ashi. And then Ashi, you know, she comes back to her regular self. So now Ashi and Jack, they're both free, and Jack is like, oh hey, you have Aku's powers. Because Ashi and like Aku, they're like fighting for a bit, and Ashi's like, oh yeah, I do. And then just like that, one of the most like controversial things that really like did split the fan base was like the ending of the final episode. But, you know, Ashi, she's like, oh yeah, I do. And then she's like, snaps. You know, well, not snap, but like, they start teleporting back to the past, Samurai Jack, you know, as you see. But a lot of people didn't like this was because it was just so sudden, right? It was just like that, right? And Jack didn't even get to say goodbye or see like all of his old friends, especially since they haven't seen each other in like 50 years. And the only person who he has saw was the Scotsman. And even then, the Scotsman was like, oh, hey, Jack, I'm dead. I'm a ghost now. And also, would you like to marry my daughters? And that's pretty much, that's literally like the only interaction he has with like an old friend of his. But anyway, after they teleport back to the past, right, they find Aku when like Aku was like weakened by the previous Jack, and you can even see like Jack get like teleported back to the future, I guess. And he's like, oh hey, and then they kill Aku, right, Jack and Ashi, and they leave Aku's tower, and it blows up. So like Aku is like, no more, that's it, he's done, no more demons, it's over, right, over with. But then something else that a lot of people didn't like was the wedding, right, the wedding scene in the final episode, where Jack and Ashi get married, but then Ashi like falls over, and she's like, without Aku assisting, right, I don't exist, and she just fades away. She just fades away just like that, and that's pretty much it. And a lot of people didn't like that was because that didn't make sense if that was the case, and like she should have faded away as soon as like Aki died. But that's pretty much it. That's it. Or not it. That's not it. After that scene, Jack goes into like this forest, and then he looks off with a ladybug into like the blossoming mountains, and that's the ending of it. That's like the entire ending. So after that, right, like that entire episode, it really did split the entire fan base, you know, like, because people said that was a horrible way, and I would also agree, but not to like hatred, but like, I believe that was a really bad way to end the series, because it just felt like really rushed. Like after like, you know, like, oh hey, you have Aku's power, and it's like, oh yeah, I do, and then they just told her back. Like that was just really rushed, I would say. And I don't know, it just feel like it could have been done different. And also another thing as well, also another thing I would like to bring up is how every other season before season 5, they all had 13 episodes for each season, but season 5 only had 10 episodes. So it kind of it got me thinking, right? Will things turn out differently if like we had like the other 3 seasons? Like maybe we could have had more time to actually like develop more of like Aishi's and like Jack's relationship, because the entire like love interest thing literally happened in like one episode, and that was like episode 8. But maybe we could have had like something more, like maybe like we see more of like the companions like trying to go and like they're assembling up like go save Jack, right? Or maybe, you know, like they actually defeat Aku and then they all come together, kumbaya, whatever, and you know, that's when like the entire time traveling thing comes into play. And that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this. So before I start like showing off like, you know, my alternate reality or whatever, my alternate universe or something, right? I would just like to say, you know, we got what we got, right? And I'm happy that Samurai Jack was able to end, because I remember watching it like back on Boomerang while I was younger. And, you know, I never really saw it end, and it really didn't come to mind until, you know, 2017, where, like, you see, like, all these trailers on Cartoon Network and, like, Adult Swim coming on, you know, and, like, everyone was like, oh, hey, it's finally gonna end, it's finally gonna end, you know. But I'm happy that it didn't, you know. I am glad for that last shot, because, you know, it finally does show that Jack really did bring peace to the world, but there's still flaws with the ending, and, you know, I believe every fan or everybody who watched the show can agree on, you know, there are definitely flaws with the ending. So that's why I made my own. Maybe hard to see, but, you know, you'll get to it. So, this is just something that I believe could have made the ending a bit better. Now, I'm not saying that I'm, like, better than, like, Taraskovsky or like the writers. I'm just saying, you know, in my opinion, I believe that this is something that could work better. And I'm also including both endings for, because a lot of people are split on this, where he should like gone to the past or stayed in the future. And I included like endings for like both, you know, just both. So before we get to that, we're gonna start off where we left off, or before they time traveled. So right now, here we have Jack and Ashi, right? As it says there, it's gonna be a bit hard to see it because like it's kind of like dark a bit. But so we have Jack and Ashi, right? And instead of like teleporting instantly, they're gonna instead go fight Aku, who is right there. So after, you know, they kill Aku, they're like everyone who's like fought in the battle is like celebrating. Like everyone is like let's say that we get a shot of like everybody in the world celebrating, because like, you know, he was the oppressor, he was the villain, right? And they're like, oh yay, he's dead. So, you know, everyone's like yippee, and like Jack and Ashi are like all celebrating and stuff. And Ashi's like, oh hey Jack, since I like have like all of oh hey Jack, since I have like all of Aku's powers, right, I can like teleport you back to the past. And Jack is like, oh hey, that's amazing, because now I can finally go back to the past and I can kill Aku and undo everything's done. And then one of the Dapper Dogs we saw like in like the first few episodes, like he comes out, right? And I guess that he should have a beard since like, you know, he's older. Like he comes into the play, right? I have to fill this. The entire storyboard right now. So the Dapper Dog is like, oh hey Jack, if you go back to the past and you defeat Aku and undo everything that he's done, then we also get undone as well. Because that's the entire point of this. I mean, if Aku never existed, then pretty much all of these different creatures, all the aliens, all the other people that we have saw would have also never existed as well. Because Aku was the reason why all these aliens came to Earth in the first place. And now Jack is absolutely dumbfounded by this, right? Because now he has to make a choice whether to go into the past, with the consequence being that, you know, all the friends that he made along the way are gone now. They don't even exist anymore. They're nothing but memories. But he gets to undo all the trauma and all the stuff that he's done to harm the Earth by Aku, even though, you know, if it plays out kind of like reality, then we kind of know like all this stuff happened, especially since I'm pretty sure he left like back in like what 12 like 13, he was basically in 13th century Japan, right? So we all know the history that goes on like after that. But anyway, so he has to choose whether going to the past, the consequence of like his friends not existing anymore, or staying in the future with the consequence of not really getting to see his parents again, or seeing his village live on again, right? Like all his friends and all his family that he made back in his old life are basically just memories to him at that point. So I'm gonna start off with the past ending, because although I do see from a technical standpoint that the future ending would be better, right? I kind of personally do like, you know, Jack going back, reuniting with his family. You know, that's just more of a personal thing to me. But I do see why a lot of people do like the future ending. So we're gonna start off with the past ending first. So Jack decides to go back to the... Oh, frick. You guys aren't gonna see this, are you? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Hold on. Let me just get away. Yeah. Okay. So Jack decides that he's gonna go back to the past, right? And he's just gonna go and, like, fight off Aku, and he's going to, like, destroy everything that he has done. But before he leaves, because this is a real gripe that a lot of people has, he should go and, like, all his friends, especially since a lot of them died trying to save Jack, because Jack is like a national hero to them, like, they're all gonna have like a sentimental moment with Jack. You know, they're all gonna say their goodbyes to Jack. You know, the Scotsmen, the dogs, the underwater aliens, the party people, the Spartans, the bowmen, all of them, like, you know, like, have a farewell to Jack, right? And then next scene. So Ashi teleports Jack back to the past, because technically she doesn't even have to be there. Like, she just decided to go with Jack to be teleported. She didn't have to do it herself. But he goes back to the past, kills Aku. He reunites with his parents, you know, actually have a moment with them, and like they're in their older ages, because in the final ending, something that I kind of overlooked was the fact that his parents looked the exact same as they did, like, when they were, like, 8 years old, you know? Like, just 8 years old, and that's not really, doesn't make sense, especially in Season 1, they were, like, much more older. Back to it. So, like I was saying earlier, if I was really interrupted, you know, the parents look like how they did, like, when Jack was, like a young child, instead of, like, what we saw of them, like, last Season 5. So, you know, they looked older. They would look older. As you see here, you know, if you try to see here. Yeah, Jack's village, they start celebrating, which is, like, that house over there, and Jack looks into the, you know, like, the blossoming mountains, as he remembers all the friends they made, like, have, like, an outshot, right? Like them in the clouds, you know, and like he just imagines all of them looking down on him, you know, smiling, and that would be the ending. That would be a nice ending, right? It will mean more. It will be more impactful, right? Sure, a lot of people may still not like it, but hey, I mean, it's a better ending than like we did get when he did go to the past, you know. Like, it will actually mean something, and for Jack to like actually acknowledge, you know, his friends before just teleporting. And I'm even blame Jack like immediately, because it was like Aishi herself that just decided to like teleport them like out of nowhere. Like, most likely Jack would have probably killed Aku there before he even thought about just automatically teleporting, you know. But now it's time for the future ending. So as we see here, we have Jack, right? And he decides to not go back to the past, and instead he's going to try to rebuild the future. And he's going to try to decrease as much of Aku's influence in the current world, while also defeating all the minions that he has along the way. So everyone's happy, you know, everyone celebrates because, yay, Jack's staying, because Jack is like their hero. And, you know, Ashi and, like, Jack, they have, like, a moment or something, right? And then, like, a time cut, or, like, a time skip. Ashi and Jack, like, having a wedding with, like, all their friends there. And then we have, like, an outward shot right? Like, you know, like zooming out, and it shows that they're in like Aku City, but it's not Aku City anymore. It's like a rebuilt city, essentially, right? Like without Aku in it. Jack City, you could call it, right? And you know, not so you see it, but the end. So that's essentially everything that I had, right? Making the alternative endings, and I don't know. I just think that these endings, you know, doesn't matter past or future. I believe that the ending could have been done much better, because it really does definitely show that it was rushed, right? And a lot of people, you know, assumed, or a lot of people thought that, you know, it could have just been like a whole bunch of stuff, you know, especially since it was like the last season and they kind of had to like conclude it. Like people like didn't really like the Ashi love interest thing, because like they kind of wanted, if they had Ashi in it, they wanted it more of like a, not more of like a love interest type of thing, but more of like a father-daughter thing, like a Jack teaching Ashi the way of like actually, you know, becoming a better person than she was. Back to it. So that's pretty much all I have at the current moment. I didn't really have a script for this, right? I kind of just came up with this idea like yesterday. I was just scribbling. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I do really enjoy Samurai Jack, and once again, I would say that even though you may not like the ending, right, you get what you get. And at least it did not end like Star versus the Forces of Evil. Thank God it did not end like Star versus the Forces of Evil. At least there was still some sense to it, alright? There was still some sense to it. And at least you could still feel for Jack, like, you know, I'm still happy for Jack that he still, you know, lived, or not lived, but, you know, he still got to go back to the past, you know, which was like the very mission from the get-go, you know? But even then, you know, I'm happy for Tarkovsky, because he has had other works, I believe, like Primal, and also I forgot what the show called, but it had like a unicorn. It was basically like superhero stuff, you know. So I'm happy for him. You know, he still has his other projects going. But that's pretty much it for this video. I'm Alexander. I'm Hisai. You know, thank you guys for coming and watching me blabber about a series that ended like 7 years ago. Oh yeah, 7 years ago. But still, I'm Hisai. Thank you guys for watching, and Hisai out.